Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Quick bit of a little note going forward with the channel. Those of you who've been watching me for a while might recognize this. This is a collection of pads that I often wear when the muscles in my neck start to wear out. I don't have a lot of endurance in my neck. This is the cancer treatments. They did a pretty good number on the spinal muscles in my neck. So after a while, my head I can't hold it up anymore without considerable discomfort. So my friend Lisa suggested that I look at something called a zoily. This is a zoily. Memory foam. It's got a good bit of a wire in there so it can hold different shapes, and it fits here pretty much perfectly. Not only on my neck, but it kind of fits with all the style and the blue and everything. So I think I'm going to be using this moving forward. Let me know what you think, if it's an improvement. At the very least, I get to do more takes and work a little bit harder on these videos because I don't have to worry about neck endurance. Important step. I'm writing a fantasy book. Writing the fantasy setting for the victory system, and there's a lot of things I've got to deal with, and I've got to look at some of the material I've written in the past through a more critical lens, and I've got a lot of work to do. But there's something that I do here every so often that is a exercise I'm going to be after doing over and over as I'm writing this book, which is I'm going to have to come up with places to go. Maps are important. Maps are very important. And I do need to have the continents and the nations and the cities. All of these things are going to be very important to have. But along that, I have to, in my head, I've got to take a trip. I've got to remember trips that I've taken, and, traveling between cities is often a long and boring process, especially if you're driving. And there's just miles and miles that are nothing but miles and miles. I live in Southern California, and if I go a little bit too far to my east, I'm just in desert. And that is quite a distance to travel where you're not seeing a lot. I've driven through Kansas and Oklahoma, and where there's just these stretches of absolute flat, where there's not much going on out there. And you have to imagine in a fantasy world where you're traveling much slower on the average, the walking or by horse and cart or what have you, that you're going to have the same thing. But there's some other factor of taking that trip. And that is when some enterprising individual or a group of individuals have come together at a place that is miles from anything, that is in the middle of nowhere, and said, man, a lot of people have to go past this spot. We should put something here that's nice for them so that we can make some money and people can have a break. A little something in the middle of the miles and miles. Today, it's a roadside attraction, or even a little stop. Often it's a gas station, or a gas station will blossom into a little oasis of a little fast food place and a convenience shop, or something even more fanciful, a specialist store where they sell jerkies or assortments of nuts, things that might draw the eye of the weary traveler looking to find something interesting to do to keep their brain awake in the middle of this trip that is taking so long, and now you just need a little break. In a fantasy world that's got a lower technology level and you're traveling even slower and the distances might be greater, you need a place to stop. After you've traveled for a day or so, you got to stop. You can't travel all night. In fact, it's a wise thing to stop when it starts to get dusk so you can actually have a little light to get your campsite down and get ready for sleeping in the rough. Or someone has been kind enough to build a roadhouse or an inn if you're lucky. Some place where you can shake the dust off your feet, chase some of it down your throat with a nice ale, and maybe have someplace comfortable to sleep as opposed to just in your bedroll out on the packed dirt, if you're lucky. So I'm dealing with the concept of roadhouses in the fantasy world now. And you'd think, well, you just plop down a building, you get some wood, you get some materials, you build yourself a little building and put what you need to into it, and well, then you're good, right? And that's a start. Remembering that you're in the middle of nowhere, that means if you're lucky, if you've made some good choices, then there are building materials around you. And it's kind of like a survival horror game that I'd play online, like Conan or Ark, where, oh, look, I'm just going to harvest the materials I need to build this right over here and build this thing right next to the road, and it's going to be great. If you've got those kind of materials there, not every road's going to go past those kinds of materials. You might not have much wood to deal with at all if you don't have a lot of trees there. You might have to import that. You might not have a lot of stone to work with. If you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of readily available stone, and dig a quarry, now you're starting to do other things, right? So you got to choose it for the materials you have in the area. You got to get the materials out there. If you have to import wood or stone, well, you're taking this out. You're taking a big load of stuff out to a place where there isn't anything. So you've got to make sure that you've got all the provisions and supplies that people are going to need when they are at the end of that trip. Remember, this is you're already someplace that's inconvenient to get to. It's a day out. You got to camp. So whoever's going to bring that stuff out there has got to have some food and water when they get there, and you got to take care of that. More to the point is that once you are out there, we're talking about an era where there isn't an awful lot of preservation technology. So you can bring food out, but you better make sure it's food that's going to last a while. You can salt pork and brined apples, things like that. They're going to lose a little bit of their flavor or take on a flavor you might not entirely want. You're going to need to have a water source no matter what. So it's got to have a well. You got to dig a well. So it's someplace preferably where you get, or if you're dedicated to having something like this out in the desert, you got to cart in your water, which is a big enough problem in and of itself. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, if you're going to keep this thing going, if it's going to be something that's going to supply even a rational number of visitors every so often, people are just going to want to stop in and have something nice, you're going to need a little farm. Even if it's just vegetables, even if you're just growing staples, you're going to want to have a little bit there so that you can. An herb garden, absolutely. That's going to be the most basic form of this, but you're going to want field of potatoes and carrots. You're going to want your tubers or things that are going to last a while when they're out of the ground. But they're also hearty staples that you can throw into a stew pretty quickly. Parsnips, stuff like that. You might want to have some other things that are going to add flavor and nutritive value to your meals. And you might want to keep pigs, sheep, if you're really going to get into this, goats or cows, because you need the milk every so often. And the ones that are you can get cows and chickens, you got milk and eggs, and if you can keep those going, maybe a generational farm, so that you can raise some cows, milk a bunch of them, and have a few others that are going to go over the fire for your guests. Same with the chickens. You're plenty of eggs, so you can give folks a nice fresh breakfast, and every so often, you're going to have one on the roaster. That's not a bad arrangement. You could do that. So it's got to have a little bit of a farm. It's odd now that I think about it there's a few places that I can travel to right now. If I'm heading out to Temecula, and I do enjoy a trip to Temecula from Los Angeles, there's a nice little place, a stop on the way. It's called Tom's Farms, which is a nice little road stop that is ostensibly started off as a farm and has farm fresh goods. You can get a little produce there. Okay. So that's a functional model. So your roadhouse, and you got a roadhouse, you got a little farm. It's the kind of thing a family can maintain. Yeah, it's not a one-person job at all. Not building it, not setting it up, not maintaining it. You got to have a family. 4 or 5 people, if they weren't a family when they started, are going to be after a while. Because you're out in the middle of nowhere just doing this work all together. It's a nice family establishment to find. So you've got your, and if you're growing chickens, you're going to need to have a good supply of seed and other things to feed the chickens, which, again, you're probably going to need to grow a bunch of that yourself because you're out in the middle of nowhere, or be someplace where that kind of stuff happens naturally. And more so for cows, you're going to have you are either going to have a field that you can turn them loose to feed in, or you're going to have to import your feed or grow something special if you're in an area that doesn't normally support them. And suddenly this is a much bigger enterprise than you're thinking. I like the idea of these road stops growing into something. Maybe you started off, I was going to build a one-room building, put a bar in the end, and have a couple of holes out back for people to use to do their business in, and a common area where they can sleep at night. And you give me a couple of coppers, and hey, that's great. And if that works out, beautiful. If it doesn't work out, you're going to have an abandoned building in the middle of no place that people are going to move into. If you're lucky, people are going to move into. Or it might be a bandit hideout after a while, but if it works out and you're making your money, you're making more than you're spending on the place, you can grow it a little bit. Now maybe we'll add some private rooms, or we'll put a little farm out back so that we don't have to go to town for all the food. Maybe put up some fencing and get a couple of cattle in here so that we can have some fresh milk. That's always good for people who are traveling. We can use that to bake stuff and have some stuff. If you could put in a couple of ovens that you were just baking bread in, especially if it was something sweet, if you had some cinnamon in that, and so people are coming down the road and they start to smell baked bread and cinnamon on the air. Oh, they're coming to your place. They're absolutely coming to your place. They're dropping an extra couple of copper to get that loaf of cinnamon bread that they've been smelling on the road for an hour. You're making a little more money. And maybe you're charging, well, you know what? You can have, drop me a couple of copper and you can have some space on the floor in the commons. That's fine. That's where everyone sleeps at night. Well, we got these private rooms. Those are a silver. That's a little more pricey. And some folks are going to come by and say, well, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm going to give you a silver. I'm going to have myself oh, well, that's, throwing some eggs and toast in the morning, and well, hey, that's throwing a breakfast. You're absolutely getting that silver from me. And now you need the eggs. Now you need to get a couple of chickens. Now you need to have a couple of other things around. Maybe you're growing your own wheat. Have a little mill. Not a big thing. You don't need a windmill, not yet. But you got this list growing in the back where these are things that. If we make this much money, we maybe got our stretch goals. We're going to maybe put a little windmill up. That'd actually make it stand out. We make a mill and don't got to make a lot of flour, just what we need. But we got the income, we got the money coming in, maybe, and that windmill's going to look great from a distance. And people are going to, hey, wow, is that a windmill on the road? What's that? Is the windmill in? And now you have now you've got a place, got a new name. You get really fresh bread. Oh my gosh! You show up someplace, they got their own eggs. They make their own wheat. So they make their own flour. Maybe they're getting pretty good, Dave. got an artisan flour that they use to make the bread, and you get there and get some fresh bread. You get that business going really well. More people, if you get people that are coming this distance just to come to your inn, then you have started something. You have started a more involved trade route. People might just move on to the place that this road was originally going to. It's like, man, I only came to the inn. What's up the road? Okay, that sounds great. Let's have a. You might start people doing more travel to that place. The road might improve. Now that's not you. That you have facilitated this, but more people travel. A few government officials start to travel. A couple of them notice, man, this road's just packed earth, but that's a really, really nice little inn there. And I'm seeing a lot of people, and some of those carts are looking pretty rough. We should do something about this road. We should brick this road. Let's propose something to the governor, and now you got construction folks coming by and giving you more money for. You're not going to have a lot of the regular traffic while we're working on this, but I got a bunch of hungry guys. How about we give you a couple of gold a day and you keep us with the bread and the sleeps? How long before this place is an establishment? How long before this place is historical? But when you've replaced some of the wood with stone, when you put in a proper stone fireplace and a hearth, where you got signs that are leading up to it, you got a sign back into town where you came from, visit the Windmill Inn, and people start spreading word about it. I'd say give it a generation. Give it a generation of family working on it. You've got the grandpa and back with the grandma, the two of them who, with their own hands, built this place, built the original wood structure and laid the foundation and served the first ales and saw the first people to their rest, and the kids that they raised there, who just their job to keep the place going and build it up a little bit. Now the grandparents get to sit back and just relax and watch the place operate. Maybe have a little room of their own someplace, and just watch as their family grows the place more and more. That's one absolute scenario that I see happening. Be on a road that was lightly traveled, at least at first, but folks that are considered responsible by the government for the amount of traffic that is now going between these places and the good relationship between those cities, and the trade that blossomed because of it. And maybe they've got a little medal someplace that the Baron gave them to remember, to let them know that the government recognized and appreciated that. Maybe an ancestral sword that was given to some barons give medals, some barons give swords. Maybe someone who came by, a knight came by and appreciated the place so much that just to show his appreciation, had a sword commission that they could hang over the hearth to let him know that, this is the sword of this order of knights, and we appreciate and protect this place. That'd help out. And all stuff that if this place ever got burned down by bandits, one of the grandchildren is going to take that sword and go do something about it. In a world where this kind of stuff has been happening for hundreds of years, you're going to have a bunch of those little establishments out there. Maybe places that started as a farm, not that far off the road, but, they need a little extra money thing. We've got, people aren't coming to market as often as there. Let's open a little food stand right next to the road. It is just up the way, is a little place. We take some of the stuff that got extra, and Uncle's been making those jams for a while, so we'll put some of those jams in fancy bottles and a little ribbon on them and sell them for a couple of coppers and see what happens. And so you get the roadside fruit stand. Buy some fruits and vegetables, maybe a little thing or two that they baked over at the house, and some pretzels or something. Little snacks. Not the kind of thing you're going to stop all night for, but Someone who has been traveling for a while, who might have skipped a stop or two, they come to this place and you got those wonderful snacks, and in the distance you got the fire from the barn, the farmhouse sending smoke up, and I'm like, yeah, a little place over there. It's like, yeah, but that's our farm where we grow this stuff. I'll give you a couple of silver if I can just. I need to sleep someplace. I don't want to sleep on the road. Can you put me up for the night? And a good hospitable farm family. Sure, you look like decent people. You're on the road. Look real tireless. And it starts with something. And that guy talks about how that was the best night he ever had. And he's out in the middle of the country and it's all gorgeous. And he slept under the stars and it had that really good farm food. And, well, you hear a story like that, maybe you want to go try it out. Maybe the farm family's like, well, people are giving us some extra money. Maybe we build a little guest house. We can build a little guest house out next to the fruit stand, and that people know it's there. And if they want to stop, they can stop and stay in for a little bit. And Then the guest house, it's got to grow a kitchen because everybody wants that good farm breakfast. And maybe some people don't want to move on. It's like, this place is amazing. Do you need any help? Because I've not felt better than this in years. I've been in a city for a long time, and this is so nice. And do you need any help? Can I do something for you? Hire some extra help, run the house, cook the breakfast, sell stuff at the stand, and maybe the stand grows a little bit. Maybe some local craftsmen come by and it's like, man, you're doing really well here. You got people coming by and you got clientele and stuff. I got a whole bunch of stuff that I have not been able to move. I got these little things that I've been making for the grandkids, and the grandkids all moved up. I just kept making them. You want to put those out there, see if maybe the kids on the road want to buy a thing or two. I'd give a couple of coppers and give me one of them. That'd be fine. And fruit stand expands into a country store, maybe a general store. Maybe there's enough folks that have a little extra that they want to give, or these people turned out to be really good at selling stuff on the road. And well, you have a roadside general store. Now everybody who's traveling that direction has to stop there because, man, I might have forgotten something. And these people have probably what I need. Can I pick up a needle and thread from you? Oh yeah, we got some of the basics. That's fine. Man, my shoes have worn out. Well, I don't have no shoes, but we got some leather and a couple of owls. You can fix that stuff if you need to. Maybe we can find someone nearby who does that kind of work. Would that be okay? Want to stay for a couple of days? A couple of silver for the guest house. Oh, I like that. I like that model a lot. Now, if one road that's going to take you past both of those things, you leave town, you're a little ways out. You're not we're at the point where you got to camp yet. You're like halfway there. You're like midday. Where are you going to hit midday? Well, you're going to hit the farmhouse midday. You're going to hit the farmhouse and the gift shop, and the guest house. So if you're just tired, or if you're just vacation or what, maybe you just don't feel like traveling anymore. Or maybe you've been traveling longer than most of these other folks. Maybe you skipped a couple of things to get here. And then you travel on and, it's getting dusky and you smell cinnamon. And you look around in the distance, you see a windmill. That wasn't expecting that. It's the middle of nowhere. So where you go? Under the windmill. You drop them a couple of silver, you stay over the night. Have a nice breakfast in the morning, you move on. And now we're getting to Route 66. We're getting to this becomes a major thoroughfare because you've got enough stuff happening along this road that people are going to choose this road because it's got more stuff on it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of rough travel out there. It's going to do that. Everything past the windmill might be a little bit trickier until someone puts something in. But you get the farmhouse, you get the windmill. Yeah, you've got you got a family trip. Now a trip that you might not have taken before. It's like, well, I need to get the family out. And we need to go to another town. Well, but you could take this. Well, I wasn't going to take the kids because, there's nothing for them. The kids are on this trip, but maybe I can take the kids on this trip. Maybe we can go a little bit longer because I don't got to leave someone here to watch the kids. Kids come with me. And, I'll get them a little something in the snack bar at the farmhouse. I'll fill a sweet to keep busy, and then a nice lay down at the windmill, and then we can move on. I have planned trips for myself around things like this. They're mostly gone now, but there were there are places. I forget the name of the truck stops, but this one chain of truck stops had a restaurant chain in them called the Iron Skillet that I really, really loved. That it was good. Only travel food, only in the middle of no place, and I could plot my course from one city to another that I was going to be driving all day by how many Iron Skillets I could hit along that ride. I went out of business. COVID was not good for them, I don't believe. But I can still hop on Google Maps and look for the roadside attractions that are going to support me as I take my trips. Nice, lots of stops, get out, stretch your legs, take a couple of deep breaths, get yourself a soda or maybe a snack, make sure the tank's topped up, move on. I want that fantasy equivalent. I want that kind of ecosystem all along the roads. So, yeah, I like how those are evolving, and I think the solution is going to be having a random roadside stop table, because they're not all going to be fun and games. They're not all going to be that nice, friendly place you do want to stop, because they might fall into disrepair. They might be operated by disreputable people. They might be operated by a cult that's looking to take every so often someone off the road to sacrifice them to a dark god. You never know. It takes all kinds to run a business. And making that a random chance, that'd be a low chance that they're going to be that bad, because some place like that's not going to stay around for very long for law enforcement or adventurers get involved. But, they can happen. Maybe, could be anything from my much beloved Split Pea Anderson's out in the middle of no place to Captain Spaulding's place from House of a Thousand Corpses. That would not be a good place to run across, but you could absolutely run across that in the middle of no place. Would you like to take a tour of the Murder Museum? It's only a copper. Yeah. I want to do a bunch of procedural generation in my fantasy book. Charts for rolling up random stuff, encounters, things that might happen. So random inn on the road, random store, shop, place to stop, a point of interest. And, pepper those in as much or as little as you like. But on a long road, man, we're coming to there's the chart. We're coming to the end of a day's ride. We could ride on, or is there some place to stop? Let's check the chart. And it could just be a campsite or a little spot that's ideal for some rough sleeping, or maybe, just maybe, there's some Vegas style lights being generated by a troop of fairies that you hire just to keep the place brightly lit. And, there's a nice restaurant. Not that expensive because they know you're traveling and you're on a budget, but hey, if you drop us a couple of silver, we'll give you a meal that you won't forget. Maybe want to come back sometime. Catch yourself a good night's sleep. That's only another couple of silver for one of the nice rooms, or gold for the suite. Well, yeah, it's a nice place. Make you forget you're traveling entirely for a day or so. Now, I'm not going to say whether that place is run by a family that really appreciates your business or by a cult that's trying to draw you in to become a member with mind control and whatnot. I don't know. I haven't made that roll in the chart yet, but it's got to be on there. Well, thank you for following me along on this particular creative exercise to find a path through my own creative process. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you would like to hear any other of ideas like this, anything you'd like to hear about, questions you'd like to answer, subjects you'd like to hear me cover, please leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You'll love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. I invite you to hit the subscription button. If you do, you might also want to hit the notification bell so you're alerted when videos become available. If you'd like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up on my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps, allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me. I'll see you next time with the next Matters of DeCorum.